Welcome and thank you for joining us for today's Dealer eProcess webinar, Navigating Compliance for the FTC's New Cars Rule. My name is Eliana Radju. It's my pleasure to be your moderator today. And today's webinar is being presented by Dealer eProcess. For anyone who isn't familiar with Dealer eProcess, Brooke, go to the next slide. We're an award-winning website development company and digital agency best known for our world-class customer service, the highest converting website designs in the industry, and automotive's first and only AI-powered platform built for peak performance, Everest, which is going to drop in early June. You are not going to want to miss this. First visit conversions are up near 67%. No, scratch that. We checked again, 77%. It's just insane. I can't wait for y'all to see this. We're going to have a keynote on June 13th. More on that later, but you can check it out right now at dealereprocess.com. We have a great show in store for you today. We are very pleased to have the one and only Brooke Furniss as our presenter today. Brooke Furniss is the founder and CEO. Go to the next slide, Brooke. CEO of VZ Consultants Group, a firm that specializes in providing objective and unbiased performance assessments of digital vendors for dealerships to help achieve goals and improve profitability. With over a decade of experience, she is skilled at turning complex data into actionable insights that maximize dealership profits. Brooke is also the host of the weekly Facts Not Feelings podcast, helping dealers to learn, grow, and move in the auto industry forward. Brooke is a committed advocate for the car biz with deep industry knowledge. She's got a passion for education. She can be reached at Brooke at bzconsultantsgroup.com. Now, during the presentation, if you have any questions, please use the question feature located on the corner of your screen to submit them. At the end of the presentation, we'll answer those questions of general interest. If we're unable to get to your question live, we're going to try to respond by email later today. And don't forget, a link to download a copy of this webinar recording will be emailed to you later today for your reference. Feel free to share it with your friends and colleagues. Ooh, guess what? Our good friends at BZ Consultants Group, they're giving away a sweet, sweet prize today. Only one of you lucky webinar attendees is going to win a dealership digital deep dive, say that 5 times fast, with BZ Consultants, an in-depth review to unlock unparalleled insights into your dealership's online dynamics and expert strategy session to pinpoint areas for growth and opportunity. This prize is valued at $600, but you have to be on the live broadcast to win it, so stay tuned for your chance to walk away with this cool prize today. All right, everyone, let's get started. Let's learn how to navigate compliance for FTC's New Cars Rule. First, let's say hello to Brooke Furniss. Hey, Brookie, how are you?
Hello. Welcome. Good to see you.
Thank you so much for being here. Now, Brooke, you and I talked about this topic December?
Yeah, it was definitely before NADA, so like November, December for sure.
Yeah. So we talked about it a while ago. And first of all, shout out to David Kane, because I'm going to tell this story. I was at the David Kane conference recently in Kentucky. It was fantastic. And one of his special guests on the main stage was none other than Mike Stanton, of course, from NADA. And while Mike had 45 minutes to talk about all things NADA, he spent the bulk of his time, more like half of his time at least, specifically just talking about the CARS rule and how, if it goes through in its current state, how it is going to like completely mess up what dealers do, how they sell cars, the processes that they have, that they've been used to, just everything that dealers do on their websites online to market cars out the window, a whole new thing. And so we don't know as of today, and Brooke, please correct me if I'm wrong, we don't know if this rule is going to go through in its current state or what changes are going to make. They're going to make to it.
That's accurate.
But FTC is very, very serious about putting a rule, whether it's this CARS rule or something very, very similar. They're very, very serious about it. They have their own reasons, I'm sure. NADA is, of course, working on dealerships' behalf to say, okay, this rule doesn't make any sense. You can't do this, you can't do this, you can't ask dealers to do this. But FTC does what they want to do. So we're going to talk about, Brooke, and please, again, correct me if I'm wrong, the CARS rule as it stands right now. Is that correct?
That is correct. And the way it stood since back like a couple months ago, it was like, I think maybe January that it went into a pause, more or less, it's being reviewed. And it's been the same. There's been like no extra information on like what's going on. Just, hey, we'll let you know, we let you know. So we're all kind of in the dark on what exactly, if anything is going to change and
Right.
all of
And
that
we
fun stuff.
picked this date because at the time that we discussed this, we knew that FTC was, they wanted to launch this July of 2024.
Correct.
Since then, there's been a stay in Texas, I think. And so they're
Yep.
like, all right, we'll take another look at it, you know. So the latest I heard was that it was going to still launch before the end of this year, like November. Don't know if that's true. Don't know if there's going to be another stay. Don't know if they're going to change it, but we're going to go through it in the current phase because some part of this is going to go through at some point. And when it does, dealers, we want you to be prepared. All right.
Yeah.
Because it is going to change the way you do business. And
Yeah.
if it scares Mike Stanton, scares me too. All right. So let's get started, Brooke.
Yeah.
We
So
fully
on that
expect
note,
some questions
everyone is
on
now
this,
going
right?
to get a drink to like
Yeah,
comprehend what we just went through. Like, hold
grab
up,
a
what is going
margarita.
on
This
right
is
now?
settle in. Oh my
Grab
gosh.
a Snickers. It might be a while, people. Let's go.
Okay, but we are giving away a great prize, so pay attention because we are going to ask a question about this presentation. First person to write in the correct response is going to win a sweet, sweet prize. All right, Brooke, where do we start?
I'm going to start with a poll, man. So I'm going to toggle the next screen here. And this mainly, I just want to know where the knowledge level is on this because it's all across the board for what I'm seeing across the nation. So I'm curious, our incredible audience members that we have here today, where are you sitting on this? How are you, what is your knowledge of Cars Rule? Right. And I'll let you take it from here on this poll.
Have you read the whole thing? Actually, we have a poll question. Yeah, so let's put it up on the screen. Excellent place to start. Okay, how familiar are you with the details of the FTC Cars Rule in its current state? Are you very familiar? Scary stuff, I know. Are you somewhat familiar? Not a fan. That's where I am. I've heard of it, but I'm not sure of a lot of the details. I'm with you, buddy. I've only heard about it in passing. I don't know much at all. Good thing that you're here. Or you're not familiar at all. You're just a fan of Brooke and Eliana, which, by the way, not an incorrect answer if you, in fact, go that way.
Might be the most popular answer if you're asking me.
Not the most popular answer. I'm watching the votes come in. Audience, you're doing great. Let's get some more of those votes in. While we're doing that, I'm going to give a shout out to Audrey. She says, I'm so excited to be joining a webinar hosted by women in automotive. Hello there from the Hazelwood team. Hey, Audrey, thank you so much for joining in. We appreciate you. And Dawn Graff did, in fact, write back in and say, you're right. You're both beautiful ladies. I knew it.
Thanks, Dawn. Appreciate it, buddy.
Fantastic. All right, so now that we have a majority of the votes in, I'm going to close this poll and share the results. And Audrey says, by the way, she wrote in, she says, familiar, but not scared yet. Audrey?
Strap in, you're going to be.
Strap in, Audrey. I don't know if you're going to, we're not trying to scare anyone. We're just being very factual, but we're going to see. All right, so now that we have all these votes in, Brooke, let's take a look so you can see what I see. All right, 7% of today's audience say they are very familiar and they agree it's scary stuff. The majority, however, 43% say they're somewhat familiar, not a fan. Got you. But not to be outdone, I mean, 36% said they've heard of it, but they're not sure of a lot of the details. Okay, so we're going to get into the details.
Awesome.
7% said they've only heard about it in passing, and 6% just saw a better answer. I know you're all fans of Brooke and Eliana.
I just think that number to be a little higher, everyone. Come on.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves, okay? All right, so Brooke, now that we got that out of the way, let's get into the details.
Man, all right, everyone, we're going to do this. So I want to first start with, if you're ever just like lying in bed and you're thinking, man, I can't sleep, I've counted sheep, bust out the 370 plus page legal document about this freaking law. Like, you want some reading material, you want to zone out your next meeting, just thumb through this. Yes, I said 370 plus pages. It's like, I won't say it's like 372, but the zero looks a little cleaner when you write this out. It is massive. And a lot of it is like footnotes. Anyways, or you want to pull your hair out, just go read it and you'll have a lot of fun with that as well. Said with dripping sarcasm on that last phrase. But let's dive into kind of like the overview of it. We're going to look at the marketing and advertising portion of it. We're going to look at the military portion. We're looking at everything as much as we can without having the audience run for the hills. That's the plan here, the hope here, Eliana. So what does it include? Yes, it includes the vehicles. It includes our motor vehicles. What it doesn't include, I'm going to list this here: boats, motorcycles, scooters, e-bikes, motor homes, RVs, and golf carts. So if you're a dealership that sells a little of both, know where it's going to lie. But that is something where they say vehicles. Well, what's a vehicle? Now you know. It actually started out in 2022 as the vehicle shopping roll. Just space the name of that for a second. So that's actually in 2022. That's what it was called. We've obviously renamed it Cars Roll to just more confuse people, I guess, more than anything else, but that's what they went with. And then if you are in a state like California, I'm in Chicago, but I worked at a dealership group in Wisconsin. Really, really strict state laws. DOT is very strict on things. That's, in one sense, it's good that you're already being introduced a little bit, but the FTC law will take precedence over any state law that you have. So if you have a state law, we'll get in later here, that says, hey, we don't have to include dock fee. FTC says, yes, you do. So little things like that have to change, and well, that's a little one. There's much, much bigger things, but just know the FTC law, if against the state law, it will always take precedence over the state law. And as we mentioned at the very beginning here, it's in the state portion right now. It's being reviewed, and we're all kind of just like waiting and anxiously thinking, is it going to go through? Is it not going to go through? Are we going to change it? Personally, this is just I am not a lawyer. I don't play one on TV. I've just done a lot of research on this and have friends that are a lot smarter than me. I hope that they change stuff, because as it stands right now, I don't know how some of this, one, how they're going to enforce it, and number two, how as a dealership, as the automotive industry, how we're going to be able to hit the bar that they've set that is so high. And I understand the why behind it, but I will, period. There's a lot going on here, and the capabilities that we have currently as it stands in the auto industry, it's just not possible. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. Time will tell on that one. And you had mentioned November. I'll get into this later on, but just want to confirm that all the experts with whom I've spoken that are, once again, way smarter than me, have said the earliest it will go into effect is November. That is what I'm being told. We'll see what happens with that. And like I said, if any questions come in, because I know there's probably going to be a lot of questions, I am happy to answer them. Eliana, I don't know if you want to do it as they flow in.
I will take care of the questions. Don't you worry.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Daniel wrote in. They're trying to get truth in advertising. Yeah, I know the reasoning behind it, but it's kind of like using a cannon because you have a housefly.
Yes.
So, I mean, if we're really thinking about this, how many dealers have bad practices ruining it for the rest, for the vast majority of dealers? And that's really where this stemmed from. So, okay, let's keep going.
Now, and to that point, before I go to this next slide here, there was, if you read the announcement from FTC, it talks, and I specifically did not put that in here. And the reason being, it talked about how much time it's going to save consumers, how much money it's going to save. And I could not verify where they got the numbers, because to say that it's going to save time is not an accurate statement, because the amount of time now that's going to be placed in the dealer to do all this other stuff, and then when they come in house, you've got to explain more and more and more. So I'm not really sure where they're getting those numbers. So when you read that, I'm not calling the FTC liars. It's not what I'm doing. I just cannot verify those numbers and how much time it's going to save you and how much money it's going to save. It may save you from lawsuits, but from a time factor, I'd be curious how they got that number. So if you're like, why have you not brought that up? That's why. So on the left, I'm guessing, depending on how your screen is right now, you're going to see a bunch of screenshots of how a lot of dealerships do business right now. We've got unlock price, we have MSRP, we have a Hyundai ad, we've got some disclaimers. All of this is illegal with the CARS Act, like Cars Roll. So we'll get into more and more examples, but for me, when I went through this, it's like being able to see things on how, what is legal, what is not legal, what can we do, and we'll get into why all of these are illegal as it stands right now, once again. But as Eliana, as you said it in the very beginning, this is changing everything in our car industry moving forward, like how we do business, how we advertise, how we interact with the customer, what's happening in FI, every single part of the transaction, how we respond to the customer, all of it is being changed based on this. So this is probably one of the biggest things. Well, I thought GLBA was massive, and this is like, makes it look like nothing compared to this. So as we said, with pricing, I'll get into more detail on this later on, but just a brief overview, you cannot advertise MSRP anymore, because you have to have more than that. So you got to have what the pricing is plus MSRP. And like I said, a few slides here, more than a few slides, we'll get into what that includes. But understand, if you have, the very first one up here, we have an MSRP, can't put that. You got to have the total pricing. You see the one underneath there, it says MSRP, almost $48,000. Then there's some discount. Then we're going to call it the furnace internet price is $44,000. Also not legal. You've got to have the entire thing, whether it's lease, finance, all that, unlock price, anything that's going to gatekeep a customer from presenting or asking you of something, cannot do it. Anything on the advertising front, we've got a Hyundai Getaway here. You don't have what vehicle it is in regard to how many there are. There's like, it's very, like I said, to say that it's changed our industry for probably ever isn't probably, honestly, in my opinion, an understatement. Now that we just lost half the audience, Eliana, we're going to go into.
I told you it was going to make me sweat. Holy moly.
Grab a drink. Let's
take a drink. Let's take a drink.
Yeah, and it is water in here. I know we're going through a very scary topic, but it's just water in my mug right now, so we're good. So more or less, we're seeing dealers, and anyone that's following what is going on, dealers are just getting slammed with lawsuits against junk fees. It's like every couple weeks, I'm seeing some new headline about a dealership that's getting sued over whatever it may be, whether it's junk fees or, and we'll kind of go through this. The very first one up here, if you're unfamiliar, the Attorney General was a $1.9 million against a Nissan dealership, and it was all over junk fees. That's a lot of money to be thrown down because of junk fees. Asbury, a lot of people know Asbury. It's a pretty big group. Once again, they also violated the FTC, and it was because of over F&I products they were adding, and then they misled over open recalls as well. So there's a lot of different moving parts in that Asbury one. Then you look in Connecticut, we had another Nissan store that had just a ton of junk fees, and that was at the Manchester, yeah, Manchester. It was not only the junk fees, they were deceiving over CPO vehicles, and they were costing thousands in unwanted charges. You've got a Toyota dealership, same thing, $60,000 to settle a claim. You've got 3 ROI Geico stores that paid $55, and I'll give this a little bit more because this is an interesting one, over $500,000 just over deceptive sell tactics. So this is, while yes, there are overarching, I love this industry. There are great dealerships. There's very fair and honest dealerships out there. We've got some bad apples that, or maybe some bad events that have caused this to say, hey, well, this happened. Well, people are in, and I don't know if we talked about this or not, but this was probably like 3 years ago. I had on my show, I had a gentleman come on the show, and he actually was, I think we worked for like the Attorney General in Chicago. And so he does like cybersecurity, forensics, some big long thing. And he taught me about what's called cottage industries. And what happens is that these lawyers will latch on to an industry and be like, we saw it with texting, we saw it with ADA compliance, and they would just go after, and the whole point of the lawyer's job was to go after a certain industry over a certain practice. And so we see a lot of, we have a target on our back.
They're like ambulance chasers.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. And
they found a niche, and now their job is to go after dealerships.
Yeah, exactly. And so you're seeing more and more of that, and we just seem to have a target on our back. And so really tightening this up needs to happen, because it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when at this point. All right, next slide. Once again, some screenshots of things that are no longer legal under the CARS rule. So they're really big on consent, really big on transparency. Well, I know I am, but the FTC, that's a big thing. They want transparency and pricing. They want consent. They want protect the military, which we'll get into later on. So everything up on the screen right now, the screenshots are all illegal as it stands right now with the CARS rule. So we'll kind of just go through them real quickly. We talked about the unlock
everything that's in red is illegal on this slide.
Everything. And that's just a portion, like it's, yeah. So like you've got the Toyota Camry up here, and it says, get my e-price and unlock smart price. Well, you can't do unlock pricing anymore. If it's get my e-price, if this led to another form or some type of gatekeeping, it wouldn't be legal. You got to click on it and be able to see everything. And even how it says how the pricing is, the pricing doesn't include everything. You look over on the right here, this one bugs me a lot. Well, a lot of this bugs me.
The one that says details?
The one that says details drives me crazy. I personally love when I can hover over something. It's a lot cleaner look. You can't do any type of hover overs. You can't do any expandable disclosures. So that is illegal to do now. Like, we'll see how this is going to work, because now you're going to jam so much into you can't have, it has to be unavoidable. It cannot be a click away. You cannot hover over, which is, yeah, not a fan of that one, Eliana, at all. Like, not a fan.
I mean, you know, speaking from the website provider side, You know, we try and make it look clean, easy. I mean, even if I go and I'm buying a shirt or a piece of jewelry online or shoes, there's always you know, you click to get to the
Mhm.
details. Now you can't do that.
No, and even with your
Unbelievable.
disclosures of everything, your disclaimers, those can't be expandable anymore. So you saw that as well. The disclaimers themselves have gotten a little out of control, to say the least. That's, I'm going to put it lightly there. Yeah, the request lower price. You see this on the same one here. That's illegal to do. You can't do that. We're not. I don't see this as much. I did last
So
year.
they want us to all be one price dealerships. Is that it?
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah, and it's not just a price. It's going to be, we'll get into this, but it's going to be your MS, it's a total price. So you've got to have payments. You have to have number of payments, whether it's finance or lease. You've got to have any required add-ons or not optional ones. You have to put this all into the price, which is, I don't know how we're going to fit this into a ad copy. I don't know how we're going to fit this into assets. I don't know how we're going to fit this into the map. Like there's so much that goes into it that what they're asking is, in my opinion, is going to confuse the consumer a little bit more. I understand they're going for transparency, but you're trying to jam so much into a little space, and you can't have fine print. So even if you want to put all that in there and scram it, shove it in there, it's not, it can't be in fine
What
print.
did
So
they say what they consider fine print? Like anything like 10 point and smaller, or they didn't say?
there's
Of course, why would they
so
say?
much gray area in this, so much. Like there's certain things I will go through and I'm like, okay, so what is this considered that? So there's some gray area where they haven't really said, okay, this is what it's got to be. Like it's got to be 10-point font. If it's fine print and it's tough to read, that's fine print. That's my understanding, but because they haven't really said what that means. But there's a lot of, they
Uh,
haven't said exactly what that means in this law.
so a couple comments that came in.
Yep.
Jeff wrote in and he says, and the veil is torn. And then Allie wrote in, all of this is just so extreme. Who is going to enforce this? It is so insane. Yes, it is, Allie. And honestly, audience, it looks more probable than not that some version of this CARS rule is going to go through.
Mhm.
So that's why we're having this, so that we can come up with a plan for, depending on how extreme this CARS rule winds up being in its final state, that we come up with a plan so that we can still sell to car dealers in a way that makes sense
Mhm.
and doesn't look like, you know, they're signing their life away just if they want to look at a car and see what the price is. So
Amen. And I don't, I will tell you, as I went through this and trying to find some examples, there's definitely some dealerships out there that are operating in a sense that I would be concerned as a consumer. And some of these are just normal. Hey, this is what we do. Like I totally get it. But some of these other ones that you'll see here in a little bit, I'm like, wow, do people really call about that vehicle when there's no price listed? Like that's what, so I saw this more last year, Eliana, where we say call for price. It was a totally different game last year. I get that. But if you still have, period, not end of sentence. If you're still putting contact us, call us, call for pricing, that is illegal under this new rule. And there are certain state laws that say that as well. If you're not in a state that does that, just know that you cannot do that anymore. Well, you can choose to do whatever you want. I would not recommend it because it is illegal under the rule as it stands right now. So trying to think if I've hit everything here. You got to disclose the actual price. You got to can't do the certain CTAs. And then the disclaimers have to be visible without hover or details or additional click and like that, which is going to make our lives and our websites a little junky looking, in my opinion. So I love Liar Liar. It's a great movie. If you
great
haven't seen
movie.
it, please freaking love it. So as I'm going through and talking about like you can't speed read, I am a fast talker. I'm aware of that. Now, if I were to go even faster and have the end of a disclosure at a TV ad, a radio ad, that is illegal now. You cannot speed read at the end of an ad of any type. When it comes
Hey.
to, yeah, but think
Oh.
about it. All businesses speed read at the end, but you can't do that anymore. Yeah.
Okay, I just want to say I've actually recorded a few of those, and as fast as I can read it, and you know, because they pay for a 60-second commercial, and if you read at a normal time frame, it would take at least 30 seconds of that 60 seconds to say all the disclaimers that they are told they must say. And
Mm.
so they speed you up by like 3 times to get it all, and they take out all your breaths and stuff like that, so they can fit it in that last 10 seconds. So then they have a 50-second commercial with a 10-second disclaimer. Now you're telling us Now we have to sit through all those disclaimers. Let me just
Yep.
tell you, what car dealer is going to pay for that?
No one. No one.
For those
Because 90% of
radio
it's going to
ads.
be, now I might be exaggerating just a little bit here, but think how much I would say a majority of that ad is going to be all the freaking disclaimers that have to be said under this law, which why are you paying for that? Like you'll just do evergreen campaigns that say we blah, 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 whatever me. I mean, you're going to do something like
Come buy
that
a
versus,
Honda from us. We're over
yeah,
here on such and such avenue. That's it.
exactly. Yeah.
Can't
We
actually
love our
say,
community.
hey, we're selling Hondas for $400 a month. Come on down. You can't say that.
We
Wow.
could say that, but the disclaimers you're going to have on that is it's insane. Like yeah, yes. So yeah, like I said, it's going to change everything we're doing here. And we talked about the view details already. We've talked about the fine print and then speed rating. So it's all of this is changing so quickly. And someone, I think it was Allie that said it earlier. I've had this conversation with a lot of people. I do not know how they're going to enforce this. The only way I can imagine in my mind is that they're going to, kind of like GLBA, they're going to knock a couple of dealership groups off, some big dealership groups off. And then once those have been sued, it will probably take the fourth or fifth before someone's like, oh, wait, this is a real thing. Because the first one, no, it's anomaly. Second one, Third one, I probably should be paying attention to this point. And then the fourth one, you're like, oh crap, we need to get our stuff in order. Like, so that's how I envision
Yeah,
it.
this is not a flick the switch kind of thing.
Wow.
This is going to take some planning, going to try and figure it out. This is changing not only the marketing that's going out of the dealership, whether it's traditional or digital, it's also changing even the process inside the dealership,
Oh
which
yeah,
we haven't
it
gotten to
is.
yet.
Oh no, and we will get into that one. I can't wait to hear the reaction on that
Okay,
one.
we're already starting to get some great questions in.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
audience, keep those questions coming. We're going to get to the Q&A session after a few more slides.
Okay, cool. So I'm not picking on Audi dealerships. I like Audi dealerships. This just had to be the first two I saw from two different dealerships that I was like, oh, that's a great example. Now we were talking beforehand, I lost a contact before I came on board. So we're going off like half vision right now. But even with my contacts in, I can't read that disclaimer. That is illegal to do. And
I have 20/20 vision and I can't
yeah,
read it from here.
I can't read that. And not to mention that the rest of the stuff in there is not legal anymore anyways. But the next one underneath, we have view key offer details. Can't do that anymore. That's a click away. Or if that one, I can't remember if that expanded or not, but regardless, that would be illegal now with the new rule. So that's a fun one. Just a couple of examples here. So going back, there was like the very first couple of slides I was talking about RI Geico, and they're to pay over $500,000. What was interesting is I dug into this a little bit. Now I want to be very clear. I am not recommending you do this. This just happened to be one of those weird ones where they were charging. It was like they were putting $200 products on about $6,000 cars. Ends up being $1.2 million, but they were only fined 557. So they actually came out kind of on top. Like it didn't cost them a lot in the whole in the grand scheme of things. Now I'm not saying to do that. It's just to understand. I see a lot where until we get our wrist slap, I'm not going to do anything about it. Well, that's a big gamble. You're doing right now. So I would not recommend you do that. This happens just to be one of them. So with all that, when they're doing this deceptive sales and they're putting it on products, FTC says, okay, compliance, consent. So any type of add-on, whether they buy the car or not, has to be disclosed. You have to keep records of it. So the best practice, talking to, once again, people way smarter than me, you need 4 different documents the consumer is signing that pretty much say the same thing. With cards rule, there'll be a 5th one most likely. So you've got your buyer's order, your risk order, your risk document, your menu, your product, and products enrollments. And then the cards rule, you have like one more. So they are all going to say very similar things. So someone comes back and says, well, I didn't know I was getting VIN etching, or I didn't know I was getting blah, blah, blah. I didn't know I was getting gap warranty. Well, you signed 4 documents that prove that you did see that. And based on how the forms have to be now, you didn't just sign something. You had to manually check that. So that really is also like a CYA for the dealership to have all of these different the best practice, all these documents there, excuse me. And so then the question becomes, okay, what's an optional add-on? You all can read the screen here, unless you're me, who can't see the screen very well, is you're going to have your extended warranty, your service plan, your payments, your gap, VIN etching, all those different roads. Those things are all optional. They're not required. And so then when it comes to gap insurance, you cannot sell gap insurance unless it actually benefits the consumer and the vehicle. So if it's adding zero value, can't do it anymore. Cannot do it anymore.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay. Tony wrote in, he says, ambulance chasers will enforce these laws. I mean, that would be an
Yeah.
easy one. If they see an ad, it didn't take, how long did it take you to find those 2 ads that were on your last slide?
Not very long.
Not very
I'd
long.
say,
Right.
yeah, I just
And then,
started Googling and found a bunch of them.
and then Jeff wrote in, and think about the TV commercials. Holy shnikes, which is
Holy
weird because
shnikes.
you're the only one who I know uses the word shnikes. So,
Thank you, Tommy Boy. Yes. It
okay,
is.
so this isn't even the really scary stuff yet. Let's
Yeah.
keep going.
Let's go on. So we're talking earlier them, how the contracts, best practices. So recently just moved, and there's all these legal documents when you're buying, selling, blah, blah, blah. And for the most part, is you click the DocuSign and it takes you all the way down the bottom, and then you just sign, you're good to go. Those are not legal anymore. You can't have anything that has pre-filled boxes, pre-filled check marks. You can't have something that just takes you down the bottom, they sign it. They have to know exactly what they're signing and go through line item by line item by line item and say, okay, this is what you're getting. You have to check it. So once I'm going back to saying, oh, this is going to save a lot of time. Yeah, we've all seen those contracts.
I like the pre-checked stuff. It doesn't bother me.
Right? So yeah, it's going to take a little bit longer. You're all about speeding up the process, and this portion alone will slow it down because you're going through each and every little thing. So that was one that's yeah, I'm not necessarily a fan
I love how this contract on the screen doesn't actually have real words on it. It's very interesting.
Yeah, well,
Okay,
thank
I'm
you,
loving these
Dolly,
questions
for
that
that
are
one.
coming
Yes.
in.
Yes.
These are some great questions that are coming in, so I'm really looking forward to our Q&A session.
Okay. Yeah, cool. We'll keep going. You just stop me if we want to bring one up. Just stop me.
Nope, we're good.
So while we are both females in the industry, I when I was like 9 years of age, I was like 8 and 9. I have 3 brothers. I have 2 sisters. My mom and my family would take me to go buy a vehicle because I knew more about the vehicle than the person selling it. There's like this little blonde in the back seat, and they're talking about, I'm like, actually the specs of the vehicle and the engine are blah blah blah. I've just always have loved cars. I can't tell you how many times I have heard people say, oh, my blinker fluid's low. I'm like, what? Your blinker fluid's low? Are you serious right now? So when you think of junk fees, know that junk products are the same thing. So if you are selling, so I found this, I laughed so hard because I was like, I've seen this. If someone is selling you blinker fluid for every 10,000 miles, that is a junk fee. That's a junk product. So do not add those junk products in there. Please, for the love, do not put that in there. And then also talking to people that are really, really smart on this matter, I said, okay, so what's the reasonable markup? Like, because if we get something, what's the reasonable markup? And I was told don't go more than 4 times the cost of whatever the product is. So if you're buying something for $1 and you're selling it for a gazillion dollars, that also is illegal to do. That's not a reasonable markup. More examples of things that you can't do anymore, Eliana. It's a lot of fun here. This is the first time at this Audi store, first time I have ever seen this where it has total MSRP, dealer sets actual price.
I don't know what that means.
What does that mean? So does it mean it's $40,000 to $41,000? Does that mean it's like $72,000? We don't know. The dealer just sets the price arbitrarily. I've never seen this. That was definitely a first for me. I have a friend that's very, very smart in this matter. He's like, I sent it to him. He's like, I'm adding that to my deck. That is insane. So if you're doing something similar to this, don't do it. It's illegal to do. And you can actually see in the disclaimer down below, it says not available with special financing, lease, or other offers, must take new delivery by blah, 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 blah. So all that stuff, like, not only is the pricing wrong, the disclaimer is not even close to what it can be. On the right, you see a 2025 Honda Pilot, and you've got MSRP, a line through it.
Right.
We don't know the price. Now, if I click unlock price, is that price can be different than confirmed availability? We don't know. We don't know the price of this. On the plus side, at least this website and this dealership has lease, finance, and cash. So at least we know that we can go that direction, but as it stands, that is not even remotely legal. Down the very bottom, same thing. We've got dealers, we've got the MSRP, we've got a line through it, we've got some savings, some cash, and bonus cash, and some price, internet price. All of that's not legal anymore. So what is
you can't show people how much you're discounting it?
You can show
one price?
You can put the discount in there. And like I said, it'll be interesting to how they do this, because you can have the price has to include, I think it's on the next slide, we go into what all the price has to include.
Oh, well, let's go to the next slide then. I don't want to,
Yeah.
yeah.
No, it's all good. The other one I'll see down here is that you see that the green, it's like MSRP, it's really small and it's red. And then it says below market price, line through it, locked price. We have no idea what they're selling this vehicle for, like not even a clue. So the cost in terms of buying, leasing, and financing have to be included. So what up here, we've got finance cash, like you have to include what the price is for all that. Then it has to also have the benefits. You got to have aspects of all the other add-on products. You have to say, is this, be very, very clear. Is this for finance? Is this for leasing? One, you get to very, like up here, you can see I'm clicking on cash. So you have to distinguish which one it is. As always, don't stack your rebates. It is, if you're doing it right now, just know it's a matter of time before you get caught. Like, don't stack rebates. And all those offers that we see a lot of website providers, not website, that dealerships put on their website, they say, oh, you qualify for this. Well, unless every single person that walks through the door qualifies for that offer, you cannot put that on there. That's a, like, we'll take the military discount. Unless every single person qualifies for that, you cannot add that on there. You can't do it.
What?
Yeah. Yeah. So all that fun stuff, because if every single person that walks the door, if they do not qualify for that offer, you cannot put that on there. Or
so how do you get them? How do you get? I'm ex-military, so I want to know how does somebody get a military discount if they can't advertise for it?
And
They have to wait until the military person decides to buy the car, and then when they come in the dealership, they're like, guess what? We're going to give you an extra $500 off. Is that how that works?
you know, that's another one I'm not, that there's a lot of gray area on it, because if you put that, you can't include it in the price. So let's say you have military, you have college grad, blah, blah. Let's like go back to this one. So this one doesn't have it on. We had another one here that had all the different ones on there. Now,
Right.
not everybody qualifies for that. So you'd have to distinguish that not everybody qualifies for that. But once again, now you're squishing a bunch of stuff in there, and you can't have the hover over, you can't have the click away. So you're adding stuff, but not everyone qualifies for it. So personally, what I would do, unless
So you just
things
have to
change,
say, ask about our
ask,
student and military discounts or something?
yeah, or in that first communication, once you disclose price, say, oh, by the way, are you military? Are you blah, 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 blah? Do you, you know, we have a lot of, that's how my understanding of what I've seen. Once again, there's a lot of gray area on this one. So it just leads us up to like, well, I think that's what it is. I'm not sure, because they're not really saying one way or another, which is not a good answer. I understand that, but that's where we're sitting right now with a lot of these things.
Okay, so a couple things that came
Yeah.
in. Tony said TV commercials are so 20th century. Daniel says conditional or additional offers, but not included in price.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. And then Preston wrote in, this is much more than just automotive.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how far they take this, because what they're asking is not, it's not just advertising, and yes, it affects us, but it is crazy how far they've went with our industry, when there are other industries out there that have that I don't know. And so yeah, I'll just be very vague on that one. But yeah, it's we'll see how far this goes. Was it Tony that said that?
Preston said this
Yeah,
is much
Preston.
more than automotive. He also gave in a great question, and honestly, I mean, while I'd love for you to wait on these questions, we're just going to ask. Preston said, are CTAs even going to have any purpose?
It's a great question. Depends what the CTA is, and if it's you're leading to a gatekeeping form, or even our love of digital retailing tools. If you are gatekeeping to get them into it, when you're asking for their blood type, their first unborn child, you can't do that anymore. Now, I know that there are a lot of times you don't have control from the OEM of what digital retailing you can use. If those do that, the OEM is going to have to now be compliant with that as well, because if they're forcing you onto XYZ provider and it's gatekeeping, that's illegal to do. So to your point about CTAs, I would probably do, it'll be interesting. I would say best practice anyway should only have two CTAs, but maybe confirm availability. Like the confirm availability, you have to, if you have an offer and you don't say which vehicles apply for that, how many you have in stock, blah, 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 then that would be illegal as well. So why are we confirming the availability for a vehicle that's on there? And that's a great question, and I don't have the answer for you, but it's a really good question, Preston.
Okay, thank you for that question. Larry also wrote in, will you be able to advertise something like you may qualify for additional discounts, which I think we kind of hit
You
on a
know,
few minutes
I
ago.
don't, I hope so. I don't know. That's the honest answer, because they have not said what, when it comes to that, what you can and cannot say. There's so many things I'm going through this. I'm like, so what about this? What about this? I'm like, we don't know. I'm like, okay, sounds great. All right. So I'm hoping so. But if you say anything along the lines of, hey, this vehicle is, $1,000 off at 2.5 APR, every single person has to qualify for that. Not, hey, you have to have 750 credit score. Oh, you actually have to put down $5,000 on a down payment. Every single person has to qualify for that offer that you are advertising that walks through your front door. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Fun times, man. Fun times.
Okay. I'm not sufficiently scared though, because there's more.
Oh, I gotcha. So I love good old Oprah here. You get a refund. You get a refund. So we have to disclose the dealership's refunds on cash down payments, on trade-ins, on fees, on anything where the transaction is not completed. You have to refund that money. Like, I cannot stress enough. You've got to refund that money. Once again, we see this more, or saw this more last year, but selling above MSRP. If you do not specify the offer price and why is that, like, that's illegal to do that. You got to go back. We talked about this, but confirming availability at the advertised price, really, really big one. The Genesis one here we have here, that is not even remotely legal anymore. You've got 2.9. We don't know what, unless every single person qualifies for this, which I most likely they do not. And how many, you may advertise this, but maybe you don't have any G70s in stock anymore. You can't do it. Certain state laws mandate, and the FTC will take precedence of it, but certain state laws will say you cannot advertise a vehicle unless you have X number of vehicles in stock anyways. So if you're already in that practice, great, but that, as it stands right now, would not be legal. What else I missed here? Oh, we talked about pre-approval and guarantee. Once again, whether it's a product, whether it's a service, terms, whatever it is, every single person has to qualify for that. I cannot stress that enough. Let's go to the next one. And because you aren't already have enough information at this point, let's talk more about advertising, because this affects advertising so much. So what does the price have to include? I'm going to try to slow down and get through this one. Doc fees, mandatory add-ons, filing charges, excluding only required governments and fees. Now, a lot of times, like the question, oh, so doc fees are, no, doc fee is not, you have to include that. It's not, so you have to include that in your pricing and your disclaimer. It's got to be included in there. You can't have a disclaimer that excludes, that we talked about, it's no longer allowed. It's talked about state versus federal law. Most disclaimers I will see, X dollars per month per $1,000 finance, no longer permitted, which is just crazy to me, but it's not available. It's not permitted in finance specials anymore. So the total price, amount down, APR, term, payment, and total payment, that is now your price. That is what you have to advertise. Now, as a consumer,
Down,
how
APR,
are you going to
payment.
consume all that? Yeah. So once again, amount down, APR, term, payment, and total payments are what that's now considered. It's not MSRP. I've heard different versions of what people are calling this, but that is what you have to include for pricing now.
So basically you have to tell people not just $300 for 36 months
No.
at 2% APR, which will equal a total price of whatever that is, the $42,000. I have no idea. I'm just making numbers up because I have no idea.
Make them up.
So that's what you have to say?
Yeah, that's according to the law. You have to have amount down, APR, term, payment, and total of the payments. So if there's 36 payments or 24 payments, you have to disclose all that. And that is what the new total price is going to be now. I talked to a friend.
And you can't have multiple prices. You can only have the one price, and you don't. It's not MSRP. It's MSRP plus docs, mandatory add-ons, and any filing charges. So it's that price plus fees and taxes is what you're allowed to say.
Yes. So yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So it's just, and once again, we will see how this changes, because if I'm a consumer and I see, depending on how they're mandating this has to be written more or less, that would confuse me. So wait, Emerson, you're telling me the price of the vehicle when I go on to wherever, I see it as $50,000, but why is it $70,000? Well, we actually have this and this and this and this that we have to show now. So as a consumer, that just confuses me. I know they're going for transparency. It's just my own opinion here. that's just really, really confusing.
Wait,
And
so they
also,
will see the $50,000 price, but only with plus, 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 and you're winding up paying $70,000.
no, so I'm saying that they go to, let's say, an OEM, a tier 1 website, and tier 1 only has the one price, and that maybe they're going to have to apply by this as well. But I'm just saying that if they go and start Googling car and driver says, oh, the price of the vehicle is $53,000, you go to every other website, you're like, well, wait, I thought it was $53,000. You guys are saying it's $70,000. Why is it so much more? You guys are, oh, you're liars. Well, no, that's the actual price now, because it's not just the $53,000. You got to include the amount down. You have to include the APR. You got to include all the payments. Oh, by the time you get done, now it's over 36 months. It's, blah, blah, blah. So it makes it really confusing, in my opinion, if I'm the consumer, because I don't really know what the price is, and I'm not going to try, I don't trust dealerships, so I'm going to go to a third party. The third party is telling me it's less than that. So we'll see how this one actually, if this stays or not. Your guess is as good as mine on that one. I don't know.
Ladies and gentlemen, take notes on that one. Okay,
Yeah.
Stephanie wrote in an interesting, we're getting so many interesting questions, by the way. Stephanie's wrote in a very interesting question, and I don't know that we covered this, so we're going to make sure that we're all on the same page here. Does this apply to used as well as new car dealers? Does this apply to used cars from a new car dealer?
Yes, it includes all motor vehicles. What it doesn't include, I'm going to do this from memory here.
Doesn't include RVs, which I think is really weird, by the way.
Motorcycles, golf carts. I'm sure I forgot something else. There's a couple of things.
Motorcycles, right,
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
ATVs,
so, but if it's an automotive vehicle that is on the road, more or less, and is a transport vehicle, you're 100% included. Yes, you have to abide by it as it stands right now.
As it stands right now. Okay. Dealers, we feel your pain. Trust me. Both of us are shaking our heads. Is there more? Do you have more? Is there more to this damn cars rule?
Yeah, man, that's, you know me, it's very difficult for me not to throw in a 4-letter word, and I've been very good with myself, but yeah, no, there's more in it. It is, yeah. So let's go. So monthly payments, this is the total amount of, I'm actually going to read this so I don't screw it up, just because there's so much to this. The total amount payable by the customer over the term, including all payments, and the total amount due at signing or as a down payment must be disclosed. I'm gonna read that one more time, because that's a big one. When advertising monthly payments, so hey, it's a $249 a month. Okay, the total amount payable by the customer over the entire 36-month term, or 20 or whatever. I've seen some that are 80 months. So over the 80 months, including all payments and total amount due at signing or as a down payment, must be disclosed.
How can that be? If I have a 450 credit and you have a 750 credit, we're going to have different interest rates. How could a dealership know that?
Yeah, I don't disagree.
How are we supposed to advertise that?
Yeah,
I'm getting angry for you, dealers. How's that?
Yeah, I don't know. Here's the other one is if you're comparing, let's say they're looking at a 24-month lease and a 36-month lease, you have to disclose, okay, because if you go the 24-month, this is what it's going to cost, but it's actually going to cost you more because you're going 36 months. So this is the total price. Because you're at a longer term, you're going to actually pay more. All of that has to be disclosed very, very clearly. That, once again, that's a, and I get that one, I get it, but how are we going about doing that? Yeah. So take a breath. Take a breath. Yes. Some more fun examples of things. Or you have a question? Are we good?
I was going to say, thank you, Jeff. He says, per the FTC, this rule applies to covered motor vehicles, or vehicles means any self-propelled vehicle designed for transporting persons or property on a public street, highway, or road. For purposes of this part, the term covered motor vehicle does not include recreational boats, marine equipment, motorcycles, scooters, electric bicycles, motorhomes, recreational vehicle trailers, and slide-in campers or golf carts.
Slide-in campers, that's new. They didn't have that last time I was there. So that's not that it matters. But yes, pretty much, if you are a car dealership and you sell cars, it's included.
That's it.
Whether you're new,
cars,
used,
trucks.
OEM, yeah.
Yes.
Any type of vehicle. Yeah.
Okay.
So more examples of things that you can't do anymore that are legal. Well, this looks really clean and it looks cool. Let's just run through this real quickly. And I know I used to be really good at math, and then I had a lot of concussions, so I'm not great at math anymore. But if I see that it's 24 months, it's coming in at $22,000-ish. Well, if that's the case, and you're saying it's 10% down, it's 2,200. But then you're saying, oh, by the way, it's not 2,200. It's actually 4,000 due at signing. So which is it? That
Wait, where
doesn't
does
make,
it say that? It says that?
yeah. So it says it's that $215 a month. It says 24 months, 22. We're going to round that to $2,200 down payment. There's a bar, and then it says $4,043 due at signing. So which one is it? Is it 4,000 due, or is it? Logically I know it's 4,000 due, but the consumer's like, wait, is it 2,200? Is it 22 plus the 41? Not. You can't do that anymore. The one below it, it says 0 down payment. But how much is due at signing? Oh, almost $1,900. So wait, then it's not 0.
So is the due at signing, is that like the doc fees, the taxes, that kind of stuff? Is that what that is?
That would be my guess on that one. But once again, every dealership's different how they do this. But you have to include everything that's, and this is like 42 months. I don't think I've ever seen a 42-month lease. Oh, that's interesting. But yeah, you got to include everything. So while that may include fees and what have you, that to the consumer. If you say 0 down, it is 0 down. I can walk in, do nothing, and walk away with the vehicle. Like that's what that should mean. But instead, you're saying it's 0 down plus 1,873. And to take it even, make it more confusing, I took another one, and it's the same thing of that 0 down and whatever, do it signing. I'm pretty smart. I consider myself an okay smart person. First and fees lease special. What the hell does that mean? Like, if I don't know what it means, the consumer is not going to know what that means. So the main bullet point here, if it is confusing at all, it's illegal. That's if it's not that meaning that you're trying to on purpose try to be deceptive, not at all. It's just if the tool that you're using or how you're putting it together, if it is confusing the consumer, especially if it's confusing to you, it's illegal. That's the main bullet point there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, Jeffy, if you still have that thing pulled up, Tony wrote in, he says, are tractor dealers excluded?
You know, I've never been asked that.
Haven't been asked that one
Tony, are you
either.
doing
I
a
don't
lot
know
of
that we
John
have a
Deere
lot of tractor
tractors?
dealers on the show right now,
Yeah,
but
I
Tony,
actually,
we'll get back to you on that.
I don't know. I will get back to you. I don't know. I have not seen it specified. The other one I have for my Honda dealerships, they've got, I can't remember what it's called. It looks like a rolling suitcase. Is that considered it? I don't know. So there's certain things that I'm not really sure. Like, I don't know if you're Tony, if you're joking about the tractor one or not, but I don't know on that one because I have
He's
not
not.
seen
He
it.
says he has tractor dealer clients.
Okay. So this is just my guess. I'll be very clear. This is my guess is that they would not be included because they're not going on the highway and it's not a vehicle transport. That is my guess, but they have not specified one way or another whether tractors are. The same thing like with they'll go like the Honda, those little, I cannot think what they're called, but it looks like a rolling suitcase. It's motorized. I would not think that's included because you can't take it on the road, but maybe it is. We don't know. So I don't have an answer for you on that one, Tony. I apologize. But great question. Great question. Okay, let's go with the joys of more of the advertising here. Dealers have to be very, very clear on the obligation to pay off financing or lease balances on a consumer's trade-in. Like that kind of sounds no-brainer, but just to make sure everyone's aware, you have to disclose that. You have to show clearly that you're going to pay it off and how much. So I'm just curious. I'm guessing everyone knows who Hey Dude is. If you're not, Hey Dude, they were very, very big YouTube stars. They started a whole shoe line, blah, blah, blah. They got slapped with a $1.9 million lawsuit over a thing called astroturfing. Now, I heard astroturfing as like, so like astroturf on the field? And like, no. They were suppressing all the negative reviews. So if you right now are have a reputation management company that says, okay, we're only going to put 4 and 5-star reviews on your website, that's illegal to do. Now, and I want to be very clear, in my opinion on how I read the rule is if the reputation management company provides you the opportunity to have 1 through 5, but you choose to only do 4 through 5 stars, that's on you, the dealer. So really take a look because that's something I know we're really big on. Hey, we're only going to show our good reviews. We can filter them out. It's all live, blah, blah, blah. Well, that's great. The problem is that is now that you're suppressing those negative reviews, which is illegal to do that now. You cannot do that. In addition to that,
it is illegal.
Illegal. You have to show all reviews, good, bad, ugly, stupendous. We love them. Whatever it is, you have to show all the reviews if they're on your website. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's a big one to me as well because I mean, it's kind of just been best practice to be. I will say best practice, but
you can't pick like a few good ones that you got off of Google and say, hey, we're going to highlight this great review from somebody.
The highlight one, I'm not sure on. But if you're showing reviews, it has to be all of them. And the reason that Hey Dude got slapped with this, they were suppressing an ungodly amount of reviews, and they were all bad.
Okay.
And they only were putting on a fraction that were good. In addition to that, if you have employees, and this is where it gets weird, not weird, but there's a gray area on this one as well, is that employees cannot leave reviews for the store. Now, if you're an employee and buy a car there, what about then? And I don't have an answer on that one. That's one I have a question about, because I've yet to see, is that, can they not? Because if we work at a dealership, there's a good chance I'm going to buy a car there, but then I can't leave a review there.
Why would you buy a car from someplace else? Yeah.
Yeah. So, but just know that if you're having, and I obviously see this a lot, we'll have our friends going like, oh, leave a review for us, or we'll have our employees do it, especially if it's a newer dealership, to get the reviews up. Cannot do that anymore. It's illegal to do that.
Okay. Tony had asked, are tractor dealers excluded? He says they do drive on roads. Jeff wrote back in. Jeff is doing some research for us, apparently.
Thanks, Jeff. Appreciate it.
He said, I would say anything with a license plate would be included eventually, is Jeff's opinion on that.
I don't know. I mean, because then that's the case. RVs have license plates, and they're
I know.
right now excluded.
I really find it strange that RVs are not included in this. That's a big vehicle. So,
and it's a huge purchase, man. That's a massive
purchase. Yeah, those are way more expensive than cars. Okay. So more on that later. Okay, let's keep going.
Okay.
We're already audience, we're going to keep going on this. This is such a big topic, and I love all your questions. So we're just going to keep rolling on this. We're still recording. If you can stick around for this, we'd love to keep you, and you will get a link to the recording later. Okay. We do have that great prize to give away, which is before the Q&A session, but after all these slides. We'd love it if you stay on, but we know we've already reached our time, and we haven't even gotten to all of the rules of the CARS rules. So please stay on.
I purposely did this shorter this time. I was like, okay, we're only
I know, but this is so heavy. This is heavy. All right, let's keep going.
Okay. Anytime I see this photo, I have a little PTSD, because when I got my license when I was 15. Not normal, I get that, but I got my license at 15. Mom goes, "Oh, Brooke, we got the special key. We're gonna win this car." And my mom was, bless her heart, most positive person I've ever met in life, and she really believed that she would will herself to win that. I go, "Mom, I'm sorry, I love you. I can't go over there." And I just go, because I knew it was going to happen. They're like, "No." So I sheepishly walk up to the tents, and I'm like, "Here's my key. I know it's not." And of course it didn't work. So I got to go back to my mom, like, "Mom, sorry, we didn't win a car." She's like, "Oh, thanks, honey." All of those sweepstakes and giveaways that we say, oh, whatever those are, those you cannot do anymore. And so anything, you can't do
the fun stuff.
Well, it depends on fun. What do you consider fun? I guess I don't know. The key thing, that one always gets me. I'm like, there's not even a chance. A lot of those won't even win a car, because unless you're Brian Ortega at Valley High, you guys do a great job there. But by and large, there's no guarantee. And once again, everybody has to qualify for that offer. So that's a fun one. You have to disclose whether you have any affiliation with the U.S. military or military branches. We talked about the giveaways. So if the vehicle is being transported at all, across state lines, maybe it's being relocated, maybe it's going you have to disclose that. And lastly, about when a car is going to be repossessed, you have to be very, very clear on the conditions for that. We're going to speed this up here a little bit here. This one, Eliana, there's only a good friend of mine, Tom Klein, super, super smart with this stuff. And I asked him, I go, so how are they going to enforce this slide here? He goes, honestly, we've been talking about this for I don't know how many months, probably since October. And he just goes, I've only seen one company that is close to being able to do this, but you have to keep records for 24 months. That includes F&I training, that includes advertising and marketing. And I want to be really, really clear, all written communication with the consumer, whether or not they buy a car, you have to keep that. So at the very last bullet point here is personal email, which is a massive pet peeve of mine. For the love, stop letting your employees and allowing your employees to use personal emails. It's been illegal for a while, but this is super legal now to do this. You don't have the information then. If you go and look at what they're asking to include here, it's just gonna be really difficult to enforce this, but finance and lease paperwork, regardless if they bought the vehicle or not. LTV ratios disclosed to the bank. You got to keep copies of all products and offerings. Any type of complaint, you have to keep record of that. Then you've got, this one also is gonna be really difficult. Utilize a secure, not just a backup, a secure backup that exports features from social media, from text, email, chat, anything that there's a communication with the consumer has to be retained for 2 freaking years. good luck is all I'm going to say to that one.
I mean, there's a lot of car salespeople who use their personal phone
Yep,
to
it's
send
illegal.
text messages. I just bought a car in December. I was texting the guy directly. He wasn't doing it
Yeah,
out of his CRM.
yeah. And that,
Oh
I mean,
my
that
gosh.
portion's been illegal for a long time. It's just, you don't see a lot of people enforced on it. There was a while it was enforced, but yeah, I mean, it happens all the time. So whatever products you use have got to all come into one happy ecosystem to see everything. And then good luck trying to do the rest of this to figure out it. But yeah, once again, I don't know how they're going to enforce every aspect of this. Yeah. So yeah, that's a
This
lot there.
is this is if there's a lawsuit, and then this is what's going to happen. If there's a lawsuit and somebody, God forbid, sues your dealership for whatever stinking reason, right?
Mhm.
And they go to court and they say, yeah, but look, I have all these text messages. If
CYA.
they don't have a copy of the text messages at the dealership, then they're liable secondarily for that too.
Mhm.
And they're going to get raked over the coals for that. Oh my God, what a mess. Tony wrote in, way to put people out of work. No more
Yeah.
switching CRMs. This is no longer an if, this is a when.
Yeah. I mean,
Holy moly.
once again, I don't know how this is going to cost so much for the dealers. So to say it's saving dealers money, I don't personally agree with that. That's why I didn't put that in the presentation of like how much time and money it's going to save you. Like, I don't know about that, but okay. So like for me personally, this is just my own opinion on this one. What I would do, any type of training, you should have a contract that the employees signed saying that they did the training, and then just keep record of that. That's one way to do at least that portion of it. That's how I personally would go about this. As for the other stuff, like I said, it's going to be interesting to see what actually ends up being enforced at the end of the day.
Okay.
Let's take a break, or Brooke, one of the two. Whew.
So I think we should have rewritten this poll question to be like, so are you sufficiently scared about the cars rule now?
Send me two
All
back
right.
'cause I don't want to deal with it anymore.
Okay, let's launch this second and final poll question of the day. We'd love, again, your feedback on this is critical. We want to know at what point in your lead handling process do you currently provide requested pricing information? All right, so somebody sees a car, they do the thing, they put in the lead, and they say, hey, what's that e-price or whatever it is, right? Do you immediately, with a personalized email, text, phone, or video? Is it in the second or third contact? So we know that they're not just tire kickers, they're actually serious. Only when they have pushed us for pricing information. Hey, you know what? We use an autoresponder. That's the first thing that goes out to them. We're talking about your first, from the first
Actual first
time,
response.
from your first response. Is your first response an autoresponder? Because if it is, you should collect number 4, which doesn't have pricing. So it would be on the second or third then that you actually get back to them. Or we only give prices out at the dealership. They got to come in person. Cynthia, thank you. She says, this poll does not apply to us. We're a marketing agency. I feel you, Cynthia. You can sit this one out. But if you know that you have a dealer that does one of these 5, then put in that answer. That would help us out, Cynthia. I appreciate you. Okay, so now that people have read all the answers, now the votes are starting to come in. I guess what we're getting to next, Brooke, is that you're going to tell me that the FTC cars rule actually has an answer for this.
Oh, yes, they do.
Yes, they do. Okay, we can probably guess which one it is.
All
right.
Yeah. It's probably a tough one. I'll give you 2 options, and I think you only need 1 on that one.
Okay. All right. And I would say for those of you who are vendors, because I know we do have a fair amount of vendors on here, or like Cynthia, somebody who, isn't actually a dealership, but works with a lot of dealerships. Tell me what you've seen at dealerships, or when you last bought a car, how it worked out for you. Just give me that answer. All right. So that we can get the full breadth. We are not even at 50% of the votes coming in. So really would like some more people to vote on this before we show you the answer. So we'll give you a few more seconds on that.
Anticipation's killing me.
Yeah, I know. And I'm glad we went through each of the answers, because I think that autoresponder is probably going to change things. So, all right, well, we're we're not at a majority of the votes yet. We are at 42% of today's audience have voted so far. Oh, so that's funny. Interesting, I should say, not funny. Tony wrote in, we are one price for both new and used, so we're well on our way.
Good job, Tony.
Good job, Tony. Okay, so we are at 45% answers. So I'm gonna, let's just, we don't have a majority. Oh, we're at 46. Let's close this poll because we're already over time and we still have so much more to get to, especially all these fantastic questions that have come in. All right, so with 46% of people voting, 45% of those people said immediately, personalized email, text, phone, or video. I will say probably half of that came in before I said about the autoresponder. So
okay.
17% said second or third contact, so we know that they're serious. 24%, so a quarter of today's audience said only when they push us for pricing information. 5% admitted autoresponder goes out immediately. And then 10% says, no, we don't. We only give out prices at the dealership.
Dun, dun, dun. Wait for the next slide, my friends.
Hold on. Somebody else wrote in, Mickey says, immediate pricing is due to our digital retailing tool. All right. All right. So he's considering digital retailing as giving the immediate price. So,
okay.
And then Tony said, so they know that they're serious. Got it. So all right.
So serious.
All right. So let me hide this and get back to your slides. First of all, what have you seen? Because I know you speak to a lot of dealers. I know I speak to a lot of dealers. Do you think, well, honestly, it doesn't even matter what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
What does FTC say?
Yeah, FTC says that very first communication on a vehicle. When I say on a vehicle, this doesn't mean that they're calling, oh, it's on stock 1, 2, 3, 4, 5A. No, it doesn't mean that. They're on a Honda Civic. They've inquired about the Honda Civic, regardless what trim it is. Or they're, we've got a Mercedes up here. They're on a Mercedes C-Class. Okay, great. You have to disclose that price in the very first communication. So if you have an autoresponder that goes out, or we're going to wait till the second or third email to see what, our process says we have to do this, this, and this. I don't care if it's a phone call, email, text, video, Skype, whatever the heck it's going to be, that first response on a vehicle has to disclose the price. Period. End of sentence. Hard stop. Done. Yeah. So this is going to change from what I have seen. The majority of dealerships that I've seen don't have price off the first bat. So this is going to definitely change. They we're so accustomed to still stop the clock and that's a lot of times that's not the dealer's idea. It might be coming up from a higher that they have to stop the clock. If you're stopping the clock with an autoresponder, it's illegal because they're inquiring on a specific vehicle. So yes.
But I mean, at this point, if they're inquiring on a specific vehicle, they've already been told, hey, you have to post this price, this ridiculous price. So they've already seen the price. So now them writing to you and saying, hey, is that your best price? Like, is that really?
Or they don't even have to say price. If they submit on I said Honda Civic, so Honda Civic, and they're asking about hey, does that have a rear view mirror? I don't know why they'd ask that, but maybe a sunroof. They have a sunroof, to have a cooling seat. Yes, it does. By the way, the price is blah, 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 blah. So you have to just, even
if they didn't ask for the price, you're like, oh, this car for $35,000? Yes.
Yes. So even if they're requiring like, hey, is that blue or is that green? Is it a blue dress or a green dress or gold dress, whatever it was? You have to say, yes, it's blah, 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 by the way, blah, blah, here's the price. And it's the total price of what it's going to be. You have to disclose in that very first communication. Fun.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's a fun one. It's a process will change with there. So another big portion of this is the military personnel. And if Kevin's still on the call, Kevin, I apologize because I looked at this. I was like, AFD. Are we doing the alphabet? Like, what is this? It is the Arms Force Disciplinary, I can't say the word, Control Board. That was a rough one. Bottom line, they're advising their commanders on like matters of health, safety, blah, 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 blah. They're saying, okay, this is where you should go and advise them on that. Where that comes into impact, the dealer portion of it, if you're found scamming any part of the military branch, you are blacklisted. That is going to severely impact your reputation, your operations, everything in between. That is going to impact everything. So you do not want to be on that list. And so why? That's one portion. when it comes to military personnel, they're moving around a lot, they're relocating, they don't want to be taken advantage of, and you're seeing this a lot happen, or enough that this is being brought to their attention that the unscrupulous dealers out there are doing this, and that's why it's also being put in effect. I think I've hit everything here. And also with this is that then if something does happen, there's a straight shot where military personnel can report back to the AFDCB and say this is what happened, so they have legal recourse for that. So it's a lot of information. Bottom line, do not scam them. Like that's about, like, don't scam them, because if you do,
I mean, don't scam anyone,
yeah,
but
especially military personnel. Like that's a lot of information, but just that's what it is, and it was something for me. Like I didn't know what that terminology was, so I figured if I didn't, I'm sure there are other people that don't as well. And this
they
is
have
actually, I think, one of the
special
last slides here.
protection under the CARS rule. That is
Yes.
very interesting.
Yes.
Very
Yes.
interesting.
This is the last slide that I have, and I know we've got like after slides here, but just so anyone that's watching, like, when are you going to stop talking? This is the last slide I have. So as we talked in the very beginning, we're right now in a pause environment of the rule. Don't know when. From the experts with whom I've spoken, they're thinking November at the earliest of when this will actually go into effect. It would be the earliest is November. Once again, we're all just waiting on our edge of our seat, being like, is it going to go? Is it not going to go? Or is it all of it going to go? Is it only part of it going to go? What's going to happen? And that's where we're sitting right now at that. And then we are into the questions portion of it. Yes. Grab a drink.
I'll tell you what, before we get to questions, let's give away the prize, and then we'll give away the questions. Is that okay?
Perfect.
All right, let's do it.
All
right.
Want to go to the
And
next
it's
slide?
so funny because Jeff wrote in, he's like, it's switching from 5-card draw to 5-card stud. All 5-card stud is all face up. So, summary, all cards will need to be dealt face up. Hashtag game changer. Yes, Jeffy. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. All right, audience. We do have a lot of people who stayed on because somebody's got to win this $600 prize. So it's that time. If you missed it at the beginning of the webinar, I announced that our good friends over at BC Consultants Group giving away a sweet, sweet prize today. One of you lucky webinar attendees is going to win a dealership digital deep dive. Did I say that right? With BC Consultants. So this is an in-depth review. They're going to unlock unparalleled insights, online dynamics, expert strategy session. They're going to pinpoint areas of growth and opportunity. $600 is on the line, cannot be exchanged for cash, cannot be transferred. So get ready, get to your keyboards. First person to write in the correct response is going to be winning this awesome prize today. Of course, if you are a vendor, as you could probably guess, this prize really isn't intended for you. We're going to ask you to kindly sit this out so that a dealership can actually win this, all right? We always love having you on the DEP webinars. You're always welcome here, my friends. Just can't win this prize, all right? All right, dealers, here we go. Good luck. I'm going to start off by telling you there are 2 acceptable answers to this question. I only need 1, all right? 2 acceptable answers. I only need 1. But it has to be exactly correct, all right? So the question is, according to the current version of the CARS rule, what must now be included in an advertised price? And now we wait. What does the advertised price include in total? Yes, your DNA, absolutely. But in total, what does the advertised
Your first unborn
price
child is
need
what it
to
includes now.
include? All of the things. There are 2 answers. No one's written in the correct answer yet. All of the, oh, wait a minute.
Wait a second.
Wait a second. Okay, let me see if this, is that correct? Hold on a second. I think that's right.
Oh,
okay.
winner, chicken dinner.
I will say it, and then Brooke, you tell me if it's right or not. Lisette wrote in total pricing plus MSRP.
Yeah, that's close enough. Like, yeah, that's close enough. Like, because total price is going to include the APR, the term, blah blah blah. So yeah, that's acceptable. That's acceptable.
That's acceptable. Okay, Lisette Lizama, you are our winner today. Congratulations, Lisette. You are our winner. Yay! Oh my God, thank you. She says. All right, I'm going to write this down. Lisette, I need to know what dealership you're from so I can give you a proper congratulations. Okay, we would have also accepted doc fees, mandatory add-ons, and filing charges along with the price. She's with Headquarter Toyota. Lisette
Oh,
Lizama, you are going to have a great time with my friend Brooke Furniss
can't
on
wait.
this amazing digital deep dive. So congratulations. I'm going to get Brooke your contact information, and Lisette Lizama from Headquarter Toyota. Congratulations on winning that cool prize. For everyone else not named Lisette, like me, I know. But you know what? We give away cool prizes every single time we do a dealer eProcess webinar. So come on back, and it could be your lucky day to win a great prize. Today, it's Lisette's turn. Congratulations, Lisette. All right, let's go get back up here to all of these amazing questions. I'm going to start from the top.
Okay, correct
All
questions
right.
here.
Yeah, put this on. Perfect. Okay, Mickey says, do we anticipate providers like website and digital retailing to update their platforms to also comply with the FTC rules? For example, the lead gates or pricing lines. I mean, I can tell you DEP is nimble enough that we will do whatever the heck it takes so that our clients are taken care of. I can only speak for us though. So I
Yeah.
can't speak for everyone else. Brooke, what do you think?
If certain businesses don't comply, you're going to see a mass exodus. That's my opinion. You're going to see a mass exodus once you see the dominoes start falling. If ABC Group just got sued, XYZ, you're going to see dealership groups decide to take their business out. Well, to those that are providing those services, because yeah, they need to, the 100%, or they're held liable as well because they represent the dealer. Now, let me be very clear here. If you decide, this kind of goes back when we started seeing more and more websites become mandatory. Yeah, you have to use this provider, you have to use this provider. And they wanted to clean things up. And I get that. But if you tell if you tell your website provider, no, I want to have the hover over. And you specifically, and they have documentation that you wanted a dancing hot dog on your website, they'll go ahead and put it on there for you. So I would say that yes, they're going to need to if they want to stay afloat. And this does go through. Also understand as a dealer, going back to the reputation one, if you say Mr. or Mrs. Reputation Management Company, I understand that I can show 1 through 5, but I don't want to do that. And they have a writing that you chose not to, then that's on you. So that would be my answer to that. Great question.
Yeah, I mean, this is not a, hey, the state is asking you nicely. This is going to be a federal law. So obviously, we're going to comply with it, DEP. I, again, can't speak for other providers in the space. Great question, Mickey. Thank you. All right, next up is from Janice. She says, will the FTC still allow a toll-free number for consumers to call to hear a recording of the full disclaimer? They currently allow this.
Great question. I don't know on that one. I would say that any way they can make it transparent, have transparency. Yeah. Harder on the dealership.
I
Yeah,
mean, if they won't even let you do a disclaimer with an extra click, I just don't see them letting you use a 1-800 number.
Now, if they want to go and listen to it by themselves just because they're bored at night and have nothing else better to do, I mean, that's one thing. But everything has got to be up front. The way it stands right now, everything's got to be up front.
Right. And Janice, and the rest of the audience, I promise you that once there's changes made to this rule and it looks like it's actually going to actually happen, I am totally having another webinar on this so that we're all on the same page as an industry and know what the heck is coming down the pike and how to avoid getting slammed with one of these incredible lawsuits. All right.
And Lizette, to your point, that there's sometimes the dealer doesn't have a choice in certain products because of OEM compliance. And if that OEM compliance, that part, one thing, not a legal expert, so I don't know where the fault will lie, but if the OEM is forcing a certain product on you that is not playing ball, I don't know who, because now the dealership's in trouble, but really it was the vendor and then also the OEM. So there's a lot of moving parts to figure out where the blame is going to be put on this. And I'm not trying to point fingers, but just understand it all possible. Partner with people that are actually partners and not just vendors. And there's a big difference. And I can say that being on both sides of the fence.
Great. Okay. Thank you very much, Janice. Great question. Next up is from Jeppy. He says, I was thinking about how you could maybe advertise a Harley Davidson for a penny and then say in fine print with a purchase of a 2024 Cadillac Escalade at $30,000 over sticker. That's not nice.
I appreciate the humor, though. I appreciate the humor.
I don't think the FTC likes it. All right, let's go to this one from Daisy. She says, how is the CARS rule going to affect how we advertise on social media? I mean,
Big time, big time.
big time.
So
Same
same
rules
thing. If
apply,
you
I'm assuming, right?
yes, same exact rules apply. So if you like the examples, if I don't know how long you were on this, but if you saw the
Hear them
examples from
all the time.
okay, the Hyundai one, the Genesis one, there's a couple of Audi ones. If you're taking that content that was showed as those assets and then putting them on social media, that is illegal to do. It has to disclose everything. This also will be very interesting to see how it affects in certain states. The employees it's illegal for them to disclose price on their own social media channel, which is, yeah, that's a whole thing. But the same thing, so if you now have employees that have a massive following, like Kevin was on earlier, I mean, he's got some incredible employees that do have a great social media following. If they are disclosing price, how are they going to enforce that? Is it coming back to the dealer? Or how does that work? There's not an answer for that at this point.
Okay. I feel like a lot of this cars rule is, I mean, excuse me for saying so, but a bit half-baked. So,
Yeah.
Okay. Great question, Daisy. Next up is from John. He says, oh, this was an interesting story. So I thanked him for sharing. He said, I worked for a dealership in Oregon in the early 2010s, and we were the first to get sued by an unsolicited text by a former employee, in fact. And because they were such a big dealer group, they had a huge target on our backs. Bigger the dealer needs to be very afraid, as the cottage industry folks will go after the big pockets first.
Amen. A mic drop. Exactly. I mean, I've even had dealerships that I haven't spoken with and have not bought a car from them and I don't know how long, and they'll text me, they'll email me. That is illegal to do. You cannot do that anymore. But yet it happens. I've actually reached out, I'm like, you guys, I understand you're using XYZ party to do this. You can't keep contacting me. And I'm trying to save you from this, but please stop contacting me. So yeah, he's right on the whole cottage industry is, as we talked about in the very beginning. This is a big deal, and it's going to take. You're going to see the big dogs fall first, is what you'll see. In my opinion.
The lawyers are definitely going to be salivating over this one. John, thank you so much for sharing that. All right, next up comes from Matthews. He says, will the window stickers have to be reformatted from the manufacturer? Also, how do we display pricing on pre-owned vehicles? Do we have to list payment terms?
So so the Maroney sticker, that I've had that discussion with quite a few people on that one, trying to figure out what's going to happen with that, because you've got that there. And so they've been unclear with this, but if you have a window sticker that says MSRP, that's not the actual price. So if they go through with this, I would guess that they're going to have to redo all the Maroney stickers on top of that, because it doesn't have the actual price, or have some type of disclaimer, this is only MSRP, it's not the total price. So I wish I had an answer for you on that one, but I cannot tell you the number of times that I've had that conversation with people. As for the used car one, the same thing, you've got to have price there. So it's not just the price, you've got to have the payments, you have to have everything. Just as you would a new car, you have to have all those disclaimers there, which will be interesting.
All the doc fees have to be in it, right.
Yep.
Before
Total.
everything except the fees and the taxes.
Yeah, anything that's mandatory, like, fees and taxes. Yeah, government fees and taxes, which does not include the doc fee.
Right. Okay.
Yes.
Great question. Let's keep going. 2 simple recommendations for dealers. This came in from Tim. He said, 1, let the OEMs do the heavy lifting and create the compliant offers. And 2, dealers brand value versus offers during the transition stage.
Amen. Anything evergreen that you have that's a brand thing, I cannot agree more with that. That is going to be massive. Same thing, read an ad, it's going to take 30%, 50% of the ad is going to be disclaimers. So just make it an evergreen statement of who you are, why you're in business, something like, but not about selling vehicles. It's going to get
yeah. All right, Tim, thank you for putting that into my chat. I appreciate you. All right, Alexandra has the next one. She says, so then how do you account for variable costs that are dependent on customer input? For instance, taxes, APR, down payment amount, trade-in value, all dependent on customer qualifications and final inspections. Alexandra, we're always wondering the same thing.
Yeah, it's there. That's one thing they haven't taken into consideration, because you may say that everyone qualifies for a certain offer, but the bank may say, wait a second, I'm not going to accept that. Well, now the price has changed. So now what do you do then? Or to your point about the taxes, or, hey, I know the ad says for $5,000, but I'm going to put $10,000 down. Okay, that just changed. So these are going, I like your word of half baked, but it's like there's so much gray area right now on what is going to happen, what is, black and white versus, well, what about this? What about this? And a lot of us are like, oh,
I
I
know.
guess we'll just
It
wait and
doesn't make
see.
any sense. Like I said,
Yeah.
if I have a 450 credit score and a repo on
Mm-hmm.
my credit history, and
Yep.
I'm going out for a car, I am not going to get the same
Mm-hmm.
APR that my friend Brooke is going to get with her 770 credit
Mm-hmm.
and a perfect payment history. That's not
Yep.
the same. We're not
Nope.
the same. We could be buying the same car and we're not the same.
No, exactly. And even after advertising, how many people actually advertise to say you don't have to have the 700 credit score. You can be anything and you're going to get the same rate. Like, yes.
Alexandra, stay tuned for more on this. Hopefully they can fully bake this
Yeah.
federal rule that they're trying to push through. I mean, this is insanity. Okay. Tom says, if you don't advertise price or payments and call for more information, does that fly?
So
So
that one
I
more
think
time.
we talked about this earlier. So we could say, hey, we're the largest Honda dealer in Southern New Jersey. You can say that. So
Yeah.
buy your Honda from us. You can say that. But you can't say, hey, we're selling Honda Civics for as low as $290 a month. Can't say that.
Yep. No. If you say that, every single person has to qualify for that offer, and then you got to have all the freaking disclaimers that are a mile long.
Okay. So you can say it, but you really
If
can't
you
say
can
it.
say it, just how much of your ad do you want to be taken up by disclaimers, I guess is the question.
Oh, Tom, I'm with you, kid. All right, Janice says, when you say now, does that refer to the new rules or actually now? Janice, I don't know what this is written
I'm going to go
referring
on a
to.
limb. I'm going to hope you know it. I think that's what you mean. As it stands right now, it's been in a pause. The rules in a stayed paused environment. So as it stands right now, we don't know if they're going to say, "Hey, we're going to go forth with 100% of everything that we've mentioned here today, plus more," or you know what? Actually, what we're asking is so over the top. Let's break that back in and let's roll it back just a little bit. So at this point, until they come out and say something, there's been like zero communication from the
There's
FTC
only
about
been
what's going
one
on.
version of this car's rule so far, and this
Yes,
is the one that we've combed over. So there
yes,
hasn't been a revision yet.
yes, and
We're hoping there's some revisions to this.
yeah,
Hopefully, I mean, because NADA is all over this and they're going to bat for us dealers. So stay tuned. Hopefully this thing will die on the vine. But if it doesn't, and some version of this goes through, because the FTC is very, very serious about putting something through for this. Hopefully it's not this drastic because
yeah.
this is untenable. Okay,
Agreed.
next up, Andy said, was that 1.9 million for Hey Dude? It
Yes.
says will pay 1.95. Yes, it was
Yep.
1.95 million. Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
Big chunk of
Thank you.
change.
Next up is from Allie. How are the dealers going to keep records for all ads, like vehicle shopping ads?
Yep.
They have to keep an example of every car that they advertise for 2
That
years?
is correct. Yes. And that is, so if anyone doesn't know Tom Klein, really smart individual, this is what he does. A lot of this is what he does for a living, from a legal recourse. And we went back, it's early last year. We were talking about this. At the time, there was nothing. I believe he's found a product that can do this now, but it's a lot of moving parts. So assuming that product does in fact work, that you have to keep every single ad that you do, whether it's radio, TV, VLAs, PMAX, AIA, whatever it's going to be, whatever acronyms you want to throw in there, you have to keep record of that for 2 years. And if it's on your website and you change the price, guess what? You got to keep prices, keep a track of that as well. So it's going to be really, really difficult to enforce this one because I don't know how they're going to do it. I don't. So
All
to
right.
your question, once again, as it stands right now, yes, that is what they're asking, which is insane.
All right, Allie, great question. We actually have another question from Allie coming up in a little bit. Janice wrote back in, she said, I asked that during your discussion about reputation management. So the one about, did you mean now?
With the FTC law, that will be, you really shouldn't be suppressing reviews anyways. I mean, you just saw, it's completely different business with Hey Dude being sued over it. So you really shouldn't be suppressing your reviews as it stands right now. But if this version goes through, it'll be illegal to do that, which I am being told from people a heck of a lot smarter than me, the earliest this will go, the CARS rule would go into effect is November.
Okay. Janice, if you have a follow-up, please write back on in. Appreciate you. Okay. Jim wrote back in and he says, what about the service department for coupons or maintenance pricing? Remember, on promo codes, we sell tires.
Yep. Or the buy three, get one free. Yep.
Does this, all these kinds of rules, does that affect the fixed ops side?
You know, that's a great question, and I've had multiple conversations about this, and once again, it's a gray area, and I don't say this as a cop-out answer. There's so much gray area to this to say, okay, does it include? My understanding is that it will include that, but that's a gray area on that one as well. But great question. Whether it's parts, whether it's tires, we all do the buy three, get one free, buy three, get one for a penny. All those different things, and then it's not all tires. It's got to be certain tires from the certain. So yeah, there's a lot of yes. Unfortunately, it is a gray area at this point. My assumption will be
still a gray area. There's a lot of gray area on this. For 372 pages, it doesn't really. It just like slaps dealers around, but it doesn't give the exactly particulars. Yeah. This is really quite the annoyance. Okay. Preston wrote in. Hi, Preston. He says, great webinar. First time listening to Brooke. I am now a fan. Yay.
Oh, well, thanks, Preston. I'm a fan of you.
Hope to see another webinar on this as they come closer to a decision. Me too, brother. Me too. Yeah, I will definitely, when we know more, when this goes another step, because what we need to do is we need to give you dealers as much time as possible, because you can see how this affects everything. Everything. It affects how you train your people at your store. It affects how they talk to consumers. It affects every ad that you put out. It affects everything. So as soon as we know more, we're going to have absolutely, we'll have another update. So stay tuned for that. Okay. Allie wrote in, is first communication meaning the first contact per channel used to contact them? So first call, first text, first email, etc., or is it just the first way a dealer decides to communicate? So we were talking about however that dealer decided to communicate, what was whatever it was. If it was a call, hey, good for you. But if it was putting in a lead or sending in a chat, whatever it was, is price discussed on that call?
Yep, exactly.
So that's what we were talking about. So yeah. All right. I think I answered that question. Brooke, did I say that? Yeah,
right? There's a lot. I've seen a lot that do an autoresponder to stop the clock. That is illegal to do now. If they it's going to be on a specific vehicle. So anything that's on a specific vehicle, which is brand, model, it doesn't have to be the stock number or the VIN number or trim or whatever. That very first communication that is sent to the consumer, whether that's email, text, video, phone call, whatever, chat, you have to disclose price. Yeah.
All right. Still got a number of questions left. Okay. Travis says, is the dealer liable if a salesperson has their own social page and interacts with customers through that?
So this kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier, and because I see some awesome employees of dealerships that do a great job on social media, have a massive following, and that's where it gets a little interesting, because if they're doing pricing at all, that would reflect back on the dealership, would be my understanding. I know in certain states that it's illegal for employees to have their own social media page where they talk about price. They can talk about come shop with us, or hey, here's a cool whatever.
Okay, so like they can put a picture of a car up and say, hey, we just got this beauty in, and not say price, and that's okay.
Right? That's my understanding of how I read the rule, yes. But if you disclose pricing at all, or any type of special that's going on, or any type of offer, they better, and most employers are not going to know how to do the legal disclaimer on that bad boy.
And because they're an employee of the dealership, now is the dealership liable, because does the dealership have to have anything related to their dealership on those employees' social pages? Do they have to keep a record of that for 24 months?
So, currently, there are states right now that mandate that the dealership has to have record of all the social media pages of their employees, and if they discuss anything, the dealer can be shut down by the DOT. Yeah, that right now is at quite a few states.
My head's hurting. Okay. Jeffy says doubtful on the phone recording. I don't know about that. I don't know what he's talking about, Jeffy. But then he also says,
he's going back to whether or not you can call in about the warranty, I think is what he's talking about. Like
Oh.
they can call and hear all the warranty. I can't remember who was it.
Oh, yeah. Could you put a 1-800 number
Yeah.
where they can hear the disclaimer? I know, Jeff. I don't think so either. I mean, if they don't even want you to click
Yeah.
one click to get to the information, they certainly wouldn't
No.
say, "Hey,
Call.
call this 10-digit
Yeah.
number so you can hear it." No, I agree with you.
Agreed.
I'm doubtful on that phone recording too. Jeff also said Maroni stickers will become vinyl wraps on vehicles.
Oh, that's so true,
Oh,
Jeff.
he's
So
spitting bars
true.
over here.
You're just got like one of the like those signs you twist where you're like, hey, here are all the disclaimers on it. It's not a click away, but it's a step away. Does that count? I don't know.
I know. You're right. Okay, Tony says it's not final. The government is shooting for the moon. They will land lower?
Fingers
You
crossed on
know,
that one, Tony. Agreed.
yes. Tony also says show everything except what the government wants to hide.
No comment on that
Oh,
one.
Tony, I do love you. Tony says dealers will just stop advertising payments if this is
Yeah,
what's going to be required. I mean,
but
it is.
they
It's
will.
really
But once you get the website, you have to disclose that. So they just won't advertise it. Once you get the website, it's going to be a hot mess.
right. Yay, because we're all about trying to make the pages cleaner. And now,
Yes.
yay, we don't have to make them cleaner anymore. Great. Okay. And then Tony says, show nothing and ask for nothing, period. Yeah, I know. Okay, last question. Stephanie, you're my last question. Might be the most important question out there. Where can Stephanie get a copy of the rule?
I just had a really smart remark, and I just rolled that one back in. I was gonna say my trash, but yeah, no. You can just if you just Google FTC. I don't have the link in front of me right now, but
We
it's
should have
just
thought of that. We did not think of that.
yeah, it's just through FTC cars rule, and I literally have like 4 things bookmarked on my page right now. We took the bookmarks off, so I can't get to it. But yeah, if you just Google FTC cars rule, and it's CARS, and it's like I'm trying to actually, it's auto retailing against scam or something like that.
Oh
But
my
it's,
God,
yeah.
Jeppy, look at how cute. Jeppy to the rescue.
Oh, he's
I'm
out. There
gonna
you go.
I'm gonna send to all in the chat. Hold on. Here we go. Entire audience send. There you go.
Thank
Thank you, Jeff
you.
Schurer. Look at you.
He's all over it. Good man
He
there.
is a love.
And Jeff, I
All
saw
right.
your message the other day, and I couldn't get to you. I'll get back to you, buddy.
All right, Stephanie, you got that. Other attendees got that. Thank you, everyone, for hanging out with us for this supersized webinar. She says, thank you. She got it. All right, excellent. All right, Jeff, thank you so much for saving the day on that one. Thank you, Brooke Furniss. You always come with the goods. Man, do I appreciate you, lady. I appreciate you so much. I love you. Fantastic presentation. Want to remind the audience, oh, if you could go a couple slides down, please. Yeah, this one. Yeah, this one. I want to remind the audience that link to download a copy of today's webinar recording is going to be emailed to you later today. Don't forget to share it with your friends and colleagues. It was a freaking amazing webinar, right? Today's webinar is also going to be posted online within 24 hours. Go to dealereprocess.com/webinars, and you can view our upcoming webinar schedule and access our past webinars too. Jeff says, great stuff. Fine, ladies. Cheers. Thank you so much for that. Also, at the conclusion of this webinar, you're going to get a short survey. People, it is 3 short questions, all right? We want to know what your feedback was on today's presentation. So please fill it out. There's also a great offer in there. We want to know what you thought about what we talked about today. You can catch up with Brooke Furniss at the upcoming DMSC conference in Austin, Texas. Are you going? She's going to be on a panel, and she is going to be podcasting the entire time there too. She's going to be grabbing lots of the subject matter experts. So if you're there, go check her out. She'll be at the Dealer Funnel booth. Or you know what? If you're not going to be there like me, I'm going to have to watch from afar. I'm going to catch the replays online. Don't miss it, all right? And Dealer eProcess is also going to be exhibiting and presenting at the upcoming DMSC conference. Be sure to catch our CRO, Gino Ciparoni. And I already told Brooke she better have Gino Ciparoni on her podcast. He's going to be doing 1 breakout session and 2 main stage panels. What? And look at these topics. These are crazy topics too. And we did put, if you're still not sure, maybe you're in the Texas area, maybe you could go. Hey, I see that there's a promotional code on there. Hopefully it still works for you, okay? And see you in Austin, Texas. Have a great time there. It's always a great show. And, oh, this is a big one. All right, here we go. Oh, I even wore the shirt for it. See? Invitations will be going out soon for our next Dealer eProcess webinar. It's going to be Thursday, June 13th. Not for nothing, but that's my birthday. So hopefully you guys will all show up. Dealer eProcess is unveiling a game changer. It's proven to increase your website's first visit leads by 77%. What? We have a platform that turns potential customers into satisfied car buyers. We're proud to introduce Everest, a new all-in-one, all-encompassing AI-powered platform that combines DEP's high-converting websites, digital marketing, digital retailing, hyper-personalization, and so much more into one single unified platform. No more missing data. No more going to 7 different tools, 7 different dashboards to see all of your data. It's in one platform. They all work together, elevating the car buying experience and boosting sales without shoppers ever having to log in, create an account. They don't have to already exist in the DMS. They automatically get the personalization that they have been craving, that they've been used to on Amazon. They get it automatically. It is a first of its kind platform. We can't wait to show it to you. And it's the only one in the industry genuinely tailored for dealer groups. I know. I'll tell you all about it on June 13th. Put it on your calendar. 1 p.m. Eastern. Learn all about this revolutionary platform. Go to dealereprocess.com/webinars. There's also a QR code on there. You're not going to want to miss this. I'm telling you, people. Be the first to find out about it. And if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions regarding these webinars and our topics, please contact me directly. I'd love to hear from you. My name is Eliana Raggio. You can track me down online everywhere or email me directly at eliana@dealereprocess.com. On behalf of Brooke Furniss and our great friends at BZ Consultants Group, as well as all of my amazing coworkers at Dealer eProcess, thank you all so very much for spending this time with us today. And I hope to see you all on another webinar in our continuing education series. All right, Brooke, time to dance us out. Let's go.
Thank you so much.